May was in a hotel in San Francisco when the weirdest thing happened. San Francisco is known as one of the most haunted cities in the world. But when May and her family were visiting for Lunar New Year, she may have found a portal into another dimension. This is a true story, though names and details have been changed. May Leung and her family were visiting her grandparents in San Francisco for the Lunar New Year. Her grandmother's house was small, and there were a lot of family members visiting. So the Leungs chose to stay at a nearby high-rise hotel. May was a computer science student, very practical and not superstitious. She didn't believe in ghosts and thought there was a scientific answer to everything. Until an elevator ride changed her entire viewpoint. It was winter 2011. May and her family were excited to be in San Francisco and celebrate the holiday. Her sister chose the hotel the family would stay in for a couple of weeks, and everything looked decent. It was a 3 to 4 star hotel with good food and amazing service. The city was beautiful, and there was so much to do in San Francisco. May and her family spent most of their time with their grandparents. But there were times when they had the opportunity to go out and explore the city. Nothing seemed strange at all. During the second week of the vacation, May decided to visit a fabric store near Union Square. It was expensive, but they had material that was hard to find. And May wanted to make a special quilt for her new nephew. Since it was a surprise, May went alone to the shop. When she was done shopping, her parents and sister had already left for a big extended family meal. May was exhausted, and the cold weather made her just want to go back to the hotel and soak in a long hot bath. Once getting in the hotel and greeting the man behind the reception, May steadily walked to the elevator and pressed number 8 to the hotel room. This is where it gets very weird. On the 8th floor, there are only 4 hotel rooms and an old-fashioned fire extinguisher on the right side once you get off the elevator. It was a really beautiful antique, and May noticed it every time she got out of the elevator. But when May was walking out of the elevator that evening, something was definitely different. May stepped out of the elevator and onto what she thought was the 8th floor. But the old-fashioned fire extinguisher she always admired was gone. She thought to herself, okay, they must have taken it away. But the carpet also looked different. May remembered thinking the purple patterns on the floor looked like little faces, and now the carpet was bluer, and the patterns were leaves. As she walked up to her family's room, her door key card wouldn't open the door, and after several tries, she just gave up and started looking around to see if she was even on the right floor. Everything indicated that she was on the 8th floor. The elevator said 8. All the hotel rooms on that floor started with 8. And May started looking at her own hotel room. The correct numbers were on the door. That's when she realized it was too quiet. So very quiet that May could hear her feet barely shuffling on the carpet. The hair on the back of May's neck started to stand up. She picked up her phone, and the last message received was from her sister saying, "We're at the hotel room." Half an hour ago. But May had no reception on her phone. She kept trying to text her sister back. At this point, May was very confused and started feeling a little scared. She started knocking on the door to the hotel room but nothing. No sound on the other side. No, nothing. She started banging, and still nothing. May remembered her neighbors and how nice they were. So she went to May remembered her neighbors and how nice they were. So she went for their door to see if someone would answer. And still nothing. No sound. This is where she panicked. May started banging on every door on the 8th floor and still couldn't get a response. At this point, the only thing moving and making sound was May. She placed her ear on every door. All she could hear was her own breathing. She felt so alone and wanted nothing but to get back to her family. May tried one last thing. The elevator. The second it dinged to her floor and the doors opened, she dashed in and pressed ground floor. When May saw the receptionist, she felt a huge rush of relief. She hadn't ever been so happy to see another human being. Too tired and freaked out to say much, May quietly asked the receptionist where the stairs were. There was no way she was getting back in the elevator alone. As soon as she climbed up the stairs to the 8th floor, May went over to the small elevator at the end of the hallway. Everything was back to normal. The carpets were the same color, and the antique fire extinguisher was right next to the elevator door, just like before. Before using her door key, May heard her family behind that door laughing and chatting. At this point, May almost burst into tears. She felt so relieved and happy. She unlocked the door, hugged her family tight, and went straight to that hot bath she'd been looking forward to. Her family thought she was a bit odd for taking the stairs for the rest of the trip, but May didn't care. She'd experienced something she never wanted to experience again. This is a true story, though names and details have been changed.